Hello. My name is Phoebe or Ingrid in the SCA, and this is part 1.5 of how to make a tunic. I released the initial video yesterday that was taking your measurements and putting the pattern together. And I got a lot of really great feedback from everybody. A bunch of people want the pattern. I'm really happy to give that to you. Give me some time. This became a little bit more popular than I thought it would be. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put it up on my blog. So as soon as I get that open to the public, I'll have it ready for you. Well, I was talking to my girlfriends this morning. They mentioned that maybe I hadn't been quite as clear as I could have been as I was explaining the math. And so I requested the help of one of my co-hosts from a podcast I'm on called Rotten Romance to see if she'd zoom in with me so that I could actually use her to illustrate what I'm doing and have someone who doesn't normally, basically she can translate Phoebe because sometimes I just get all crazy. So Samisawel, are you over there?
Hello.
Hello. Yay.
Hello. So yes, I'm here to be your external numbers today.
I'm so excited. I also found the actual handout I have. So it has, you've seen this to me, Swell, so that's good. And I'm on a webcam that isn't great, but it basically has a step-by-step, take this measurement, put it there. Gives you a couple patterns, but we'll ignore that. Nikki told me to shut the fuck up, or sorry, to shush my mouth about all the options you can do. So you all only get one option today.
Okay.
And
it's the option for the chestier gal?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. No. See, men are fine in this pattern. I didn't mention that in the last video. It seemed like I was specifically talking about women, but this pattern really is a godsend to the curvy women who want to do rectangular construction as well. So the handout has algebra, which I swore up and down I didn't think I'd have to use, but we're gonna solve the fuck out of that for some X. Sorry, I said the F-bomb again. Okay. I need to stop that.
So all I have to do is embarrass myself by putting my numbers on the internet, and then you'll do the maths for me, right?
I absolutely will. So yes, I am bribing Samisawel by being my dummy, and I will give her a pattern that works. This is the second time I've done this. Because I'm hopeless without you, so whatever. So you watched the video, and I think you and Nikki were talking about where the questions were coming from, and I think it was mostly to do with the math, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and some of the stuff that you did was confusing in that you're like, well, it says this, but I'm going to do that.
Yes.
This, but I'm going to do that. It says 9, but I'm going to do 8. And I even though it says this. So, you know, for those of us who maybe, you know, need a little help in that department or can't necessarily picture it in their heads.
I totally feel you, and that's actually why I wanted when you said you'd do this with me, I was really happy because when you've done this pattern a million times, you skip steps and you do different things because you know it'll look right, and I went to process 70 way too fast. So today we're going to do it really quick again, and we're going to do it in a way that is only one option. So Samisawel, I'm going to need some numbers from you. So as people can see, Samisawel is not 2x4 shaped. She's got all the curves that I wish that I could possibly have found in my life. So this pattern works for her too. That's the best part about this pattern, is that you're patterning for both the top, or the bust, and the waist, and technically the hips. So you can have any measurement in between and it will fit you. So Samisawel, the first one I want the shoulder to shoulder measurement. Now, sometimes people will say like bra strap to bra strap or something like that. But when you think of a t-shirt and where the seams of your t-shirt land, that's where you want to take this measurement.
Well, that doesn't really work for
busty
large gals like me, because t-shirts are usually either really weirdly snug or huge.
Okay.
So
find the pointiest part of the forward part of your shoulder.
like the little knob
Yes.
here.
Yes.
Okay.
And then measure in between those two. A little bit more in you see how you're starting to sort of slide out? That gives you that drop shoulder look.
So
There you go.
like here?
Yep. All right, what's your measurement?
13.
God, I got big shoulders.
Whoa.
That's weird. My shoulders are 2 inches wider than yours.
Well, not necessarily. I don't know.
Okay,
Maybe
that was the other thing is let's see what's going on in the back. Check the back point to point and see what's going on there.
Like,
I mean, this doesn't really matter.
Like
I mean, it does. Yes, just like that.
13.
Oh, fuck you. God, I'm just starting up a storm. This is the worst. I did indicate on YouTube that this was not for children.
Okay.
So,
and also, when you and I are talking, the F-bombs just start like confetti.
Yeah, it's a thing. So the next, that's going to be measurement A, which is your body measurement. The next, I need your shoulder. So from the same point, but you want to actually go up to the top. You follow the seam line to where it would be on the top.
Okay. Just
and then
this?
Put the end there.
Uh-huh.
And then go down and get that arm.
Like all the way around like this?
No. I want the length, sorry.
Oh. Right, okay.
And then bend your elbow a little bit because the biggest problem that people have is they measure for a straight arm. And when you bend your elbow, your sleeves go all the way up. So don't bend it all the way, but 25, yep, okay, that's good. That's a very normal arm. And the nice thing about arms, we can hem them. So next we need your waist. And remember, I'm a little teapot. You want your natural waist. There we go.
$35.
All right. And then I'm terrified of this number, but I'm going to need your best guess at your bust measurement at the widest point.
Okay. Am I level?
Not at all. You need to go down about another inch or so because you're just at the top of your boobs.
In the back?
No, where your arm is hiding. So if you move your right arm, yeah, see how you're on your, you want to be on the nipple line. There we go. All right, guys. See, this
level?
is pretty, lift it down a tiny bit. Yeah, down.
Down over here?
Down a little bit. There we go. Yeah. It's still down. Lift the right up a tiny bit. Now stand straight. Close enough. What you at?
44.
All right. And find me your wrist measurement that your hand can fit through in a very vulgar gesture.
It's kind of hard to do on yourself, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, this is the weirdest one, and it's the one I have the hardest time with.
8.
Yeah, that's about right. That's a normal one. Anywhere between 8 and 10. It depends on if you have man hands like mine or small, delicate hands like yours. So now we want the armpit to armpit measurement. So once again, you're going to find the, because like where our seam line is just all along here, right? Because that's where we took our shoulder measurement and then we took our, so we're just pretending that this is our seam. So now, starting at this seam, I want you to basically measure your arm's eye. Now, you don't want to do it directly against your armpit because then your arm's going to hurt. So you want to go like your shirt. Yep, just like that. Tighten it up or lift up your arm. Yep, that's a good, does that feel okay for you? Like you could move around in that? You're going to have a few more inches put into that from your gores, but.
Oh yeah, then that's plenty.
Okay, excellent. What's your measurement?
19.
Okay. I want you to tighten that up a little bit. 19 is a little, try try 17 and let me see what it looks like. And for those of you following along at home, I just know this from personal experience. Sometimes we measure this too big, and this is the measurement that if you get too big, you end up with all the fabric bunching in your armpit. Okay, that's 17.
Oh, is it because we're going all the way under instead of stopping here?
Oh, yes, that's exactly what it is. Okay. Because there's two ways to measure for this.
I need to go to my nipple line, right?
You can. No. Not for you. For you, we're just gonna follow your arm's eye.
All the way around.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm only giving you guys one option right now, so unfortunately I taught you this on another option, so you don't get that.
Okay, 17 is too small for me.
Okay, try 18.
That's what 18 looks like.
Okay, we'll do 19.
Yeah. You know.
I just wanted to make sure. See, when I'm taking these measurements in person, I can actually maneuver you around so that I can see where the seam line is going to be. But since we're not in person, I'm having you go through sort of like the optometrist.
It's going to be here or here. Or...
Yeah, right about there. And what it's going to do is it's going to bring it out to make your breasts fit. So now we need to know your armpit from that 19. So you're not like going from the point of your armpit. You're going from where that 19 was.
Okay.
Down to your natural waist. So basically about where the armpit of your shirt is. Yep. A little bit further back. All right. What you got?
And then to here? Am I to the right spot down below?
Do it on a little teapot that way. Yep, that's correct.
7.
That sounds right.
Remember, I have like...
You have a short little waist. I remember the person who taught me this pattern was Goulinet from Montier, and she used me as her example. She measured it, and so the scary thing is that my waist is actually really, really long. I just... or my torso is really long, my waist is kind of weird, which is why that weirdness with the measurements happened yesterday. And she measured it and it's 10 inches and she's like, you bitch. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, for my natural waistline is pretty much
right under your boobs. Yeah. And you're not alone in this. A lot of people making rectangular construction have your body type, and this pattern, I think I remember you telling me specifically, helped you feel feminine in early period clothes.
It was a lot more flattering than a lot of other things I've made myself. I'll put it that
way. So the last thing we're going to need is how long you want this tunic to be. Since it's for you and it's a dress, I would say probably down to the floor, and then we'll just hem it up from there.
And I need to go, right? I need to go over the...
You need to go up to where your seam line will land. Yeah.
And over the fullest part of my...
over the full of your breast, yes. That's where the gymnastics start, is
because
trying
that definitely sticks out farther than...
Oh, yeah.
My no acetol.
I have a non-existent butt.
Let's see.
I have never had that problem, and I'm laughing my ass off right now as you were trying to see over your boobs.
No, I just can't. So it's 60 in the front. And out of curiosity,
I think I've got like a 3-inch difference, and I don't really have much of a rack, so it's pretty funny.
Yeah, 56. So. Yep.
So 60. Okay, so I'm actually going to use this to draw your pattern. And
okay, that's all the numbers we need?
This is all the numbers we need.
Okay.
But I'm going to make Samiswell do this math so that I'm explaining how to do this.
Okay.
To somebody who doesn't know how to do this, and it will make sense, hopefully, to the people at home. So.
That's the goal.
Samiswell, I want you to draw a big version of your laid out dress.
Okay. Do you want me to put a shoulder seam or?
Or do it as though there is no shoulder seam?
It depends. What do you like? I believe that you liked the way I made it for you, which was with a shoulder seam.
One of mine has a shoulder seam and one of them does not. The under does not have a shoulder seam, but my coat has a shoulder seam. So.
It really depends. And I know that I promised Nikki that I wouldn't give too many options.
It really depends. No.
It really depends on your fabric.
Okay.
So I like this pattern for myself, and here I am talking about stuff, and people said I talk too much, but I don't care. For myself, what I like about this pattern is it conserves an insane amount of fabric. A lot of people will argue which rectangular construction is going to be the best. And the truth is, it depends on body types. For somebody who is super curvy in the hips and the waist and especially the booty in this pattern might actually eat up more fabric. But the beauty of this pattern is that I can use it with almost no scraps remaining on a very narrow 22-inch to 19-inch width, which is the loom size that you would have been dealing with back in the day. Now I'm estimating, and some of my friends that actually weave are going to come in and be like, it's actually 21.75 inches or some shit like that. But whatever it is, I know that I can make a pattern out of that fabric.
All right, well, whatever, because I am not the one that is going to come and try to tell you that your loom is or is not historically accurate in width. Do you want me to turn my camera so that you are watching me draw and...
No, I'm going to make you do the math and then tell me the answer, like a teacher-student thing, and then you have to show it to me.
Like a schoolgirl. Okay,
yep.
Got it.
Okay.
Is this what you would like? Is it?
You draw so much prettier than me. I'm going to have to delete that other video and just put this up.
No,
all right.
I'm going to put it sideways so it fits.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Okay. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to label your body measurement, which is that body piece. So you were 13 inches across, which means we have to add a 1/2 inch seam allowance on both sides. So it's going to be 14 on the short edge.
Okay.
And then did you decide if you wanted a shoulder seam or not?
Let's do it because I can conserve fabric that way sometimes, right?
It depends on the fabric you're using. If you're using like a sari, you don't want to use shoulder seams because the whole thing is just a really long, narrow thing anyway. So you would just do one big thing. If you're going to be going across instead of down the length of your fabric, then you would want a shoulder seam because you wouldn't have enough to do both.
Okay, well, let's pretend I'm making this out of a sari.
Okay, so we'll do one, and your measurement is going to be 121 inches.
Okay, why is that?
Because I doubled your shoulder to the floor, and then I added an inch.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I know. I'm the worst. This is why I asked you to do this with me, because I really appreciate the people that actually got a hold of me and were like, yeah, that was great, but what? And I'm like, oh.
Okay, so I've got 14 by 121.
Yes.
And there we go.
Look at that pretty drawing. Yes, that's perfect. And then let's measure your sleeves. So one of your sleeves is gonna be, and I do this on the, I write this on the shoulder part. That's gonna be that arm's eye measurement you took, and you took it at 19 inches. So we're gonna do 20.
Okay. Okay.
And then the length, we measured it at 25, so we're gonna cut out 26 for the length of your sleeve. Now remember, like I said in the last video, we are not going to cut down to the wrist yet. So we're just gonna cut out the big rectangle. We'll taper it when we're sewing.
Okay, so 20 by 26.
Mm-hmm. And then
they're labeled.
Yep. And we know that the length of your mini trapezoid from your armpit to your waist is 7 inches. So we're gonna do 8 inches.
Okay.
So we now know basically a third of the length of that whole dress, right? So we know the total length, which is 121.
Mm-hmm.
And we also know that we have 20 inches in the sleeve.
Do I measure? Okay, so when I'm counting this and subtracting it from my total, do I do it including seam allowance or not including seam allowance?
We're doing it by the numbers. It doesn't really matter either way. And I know it's really annoying when people say that, but this is never really going to match up perfectly.
Okay.
And so we cut off the bottom anyway. So this is a rough estimate at most. I prefer for this measurement, the way that I do it is I just use the numbers that I have written on my pattern.
Okay.
I'm not
So
like
I'm at 36.
Yes. So you have 20 inches and then you have 2 sections of 8 inches. So you're at 36 and then you've got 121.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to take that 36 out of there. And then you've got 2 gores.
85?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're going to divide that in half.
And then divide by 2. So then I'm going to get 42 and a half.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because, girl, you got a short little torso. So it's not going to be unusual that from your waist down is going to be the longer portion.
Okay. All right, so my 2 trapezoids are 40, the big ones are 42.5 long. Okay.
So now we need the magical measurements of your trapezoid, basically your little one.
Okay.
So this is algebra, and I could give you guys all the actual equation, but I'm just going to go by the way my handout is written, and we're going to do it step by step.
Okay.
I actually wrote it down better than I explain it. The whole point of this trapezoid is because most of the time, and this is why we don't make rectangular construction how you think it would be. If you look at really, really, really early stuff, like Egyptian stuff, it's just 2 pieces of fabric, right? Like sewn together, and you got an armhole sticking out, so you've made yourself a tabard. Now, the reason why that doesn't work is because anybody shaped like you, anybody even shaped like me, if you made something by your shoulder measurements and tried to put that son of a gun on, you're going to be wearing a scrunchie around your boobs. It's not going to happen. So these gores are here only to provide the extra fabric necessary for your body of your dress to fit around you. That's the whole point of this. Okay. So I want you to keep that in mind, because with math, especially when we're doing lots of steps and everything, you never want to lose track of what you're actually trying to figure out. Otherwise, you guys are going to find like a negative number somewhere and like throw out like, I need a gore that's negative 2.517 3/4. And no. So we're going to start by getting your body measurement. And that's going to be measurement A plus measurement A, which is your shoulder measurement, times 2, because you've got a front and a back of fabric.
So I'm at 26. Okay. Because I mean, it was 13 times 2, 26. Okay.
And we're doing this with your ritual measurements, not your seam allowance.
Okay.
Because you can do it either way, is the thing. And I know I'm not supposed to give you options, but you have to do it the same way both times. Otherwise, that's where you get screwed up. So I'm just saying the way that we're doing this right now is without seam allowance, and we will add seam allowance.
Okay.
So 26. So A plus A is 26. Now your measurement D is your bust measurement, and that was 44 inches.
Okay.
So we have 36 inches, or we have 26 inches. We need 44. So take 26 out of 44.
Okay.
Because that's how much fabric is not accounted for.
8 No, is that right? 18?
Yeah, that sounds right.
All right.
44 inches minus 26, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Oh, did I? Okay. So now we need to add in your ease, which is if we just divided that number by 4, you would be wearing a skin tight dress that maybe will cover over those boobies. We're still looking at boob scrunchy. So we're gonna add room so that the fabric can actually like hang off of you, because you can either look like you're wearing a sausage casing or you can be elegantly draped in fabric. So let's go with elegantly draped.
Oh, come on.
I know. I sometimes look like a sausage, but I don't even care. So that's why you cut out all my stuff.
I can be bribed with ice cream.
So I think for you, I say 4 to 6 inches, somewhere in there. I believe that you like a little bit more room. I don't remember what your exact preference was because it's been several years and a baby, but I believe that you opted on the higher end of the scale for comfort.
Probably.
What sounds good to you right now?
Sure, let's go with 6. It's the beginning of quarantine, and I'm eating for
That's true.
everybody.
I think the man fetched me ice cream. I'm very excited. So yeah, we'll do 6. So we have 18, add 6, which will give us 24, which makes your pattern really easy. So we know that we have 26 inches. We need 50. So how do we get that? So that's where we get these measurements. So we're going to divide that by 4 because we have 4 little gores.
Which is 6.
And then we're going to add our inch seam allowance.
So 7.
Yes.
So
which is a drastically different number than mine.
So my gores are 7 inches wide and 8 inches long. Okay.
Yes, and mine are like 4 inches wide, and this is why the first time I believe you did this pattern, you called me and said it was wrong. And you're like, it's wrong. This doesn't look at all like yours. Well, you don't look at all like me, so
no,
it's gonna be how it is. It's the same pattern for everybody, but it's gonna look different on every single person that wears it.
Okay.
So we're gonna do the same thing for your waist measurement, but we're gonna use for your waist end of the gore, but we're gonna use a waist measurement instead of the bust measurement.
Okay.
So it's exactly the same steps. We know that we're working with 26 inches.
5?
Your waist was 35, yes.
Okay. Do I do 6 inches of ease again?
Not yet. We have to do our subtraction first.
Got it.
So 35 minus 26.
9.
Plus 6.
15.
15. Divided by 4.
3.75.
Plus your seam allowance.
4.75.
Yes.
Should I just call it 5?
No.
Oh.
You already added 6 inches of seam allowance. You want to add more, or 6 inches of give. You want to add more? Look at that bad boy. Yeah.
That's good?
That's good.
Yeah.
You're so pretty. Yep.
Okay.
That is correct. And it's very common for people shaped like me, and for men and quite a few people to actually not have much of a trapezoid. It might be a rectangle. So if you have something that ends up being a rectangle, that's fine. It's all you need. You have a you have a 9-inch difference between your bust and your waist. So that is substantial enough that you're going to see a curve. So do you know how wide you like, or how big around you like your dresses? Because I don't make a lot of dresses for other people, mainly because I get performance anxiety. So I know what I like my circumferences to be.
I want them big enough to take a big step.
I feel like you're like a 140 circumference kind of person, but I don't know for sure. Do you have any of your garb anywhere near you?
No, nowhere. It's all in storage.
Okay, we're gonna make this like the fullest skirt ever.
Okay.
And you can like swan around in this pretending your whatever.
Royalty would be great. Okay.
Yeah, royalty, why not? We all are. We're
That's
in a
right.
medieval reenactment club in which we are all
That's the game we play.
very rich. All right. So let's go with 140 just because it popped into my head, and hopefully that's a reasonable and not like a super skinny one. So to find out how big we need the bottoms of the gourds, it's basically the same thing without ease. So we know that we have 26 inches of fabric. We need 140.
Okay.
So what's our need?
114.
So we need 114 inches of fabric, and we've got 4 chunks divided in 4.
27 and a half. That's
Cool. Sounds good. Give it a seam allowance.
28 and a half.
Excellent. And if this ends up being too big, it's very easy to cut it down for if your hem is going all crazy. Because a big problem in the silhouette of what I do, which I'll explain in a different video, somebody actually mentioned to me that perhaps I should tell people what Kievan Rus is, but if you have a really full skirt underneath a really narrow skirt, you end up looking like you're wearing a mermaid tail. So the way that you fix that is you can actually just bring this in on the middle seams.
Okay.
And
this pattern, I don't know if it's historically accurate, but I have used it to make Middle Eastern.
Okay, so this pattern.
No. I mean, I know it's historically accurate. I'm saying I don't know if it's historically accurate for Middle Eastern, but I have used it for Middle Eastern because I like it.
So the weird thing, especially about rectangular construction, is there really isn't a new idea around any of them. I have documentation of this pattern all over the place. You can actually find extant garments in Greenland, one of the communities that was living there, one of the Viking communities. They buried their people in the short amount of time that they lived in Greenland, and because it's so cold there, we now have huge chunks of their clothes. Now it's a little bit later period than what you would normally see, but this pattern was utilized extensively in those graves. For Persian, this is the one that people often utilize. I don't know much about those, but I do know that this pattern has been shown to be in existence from Asian all the way over. And like I said when we started, rectangular construction is rectangular construction. You're using rectangles to fit this. So you'll find evidence of clothing that was literally put together by scraps. We don't have a lot of, that's the Viborg tunic, by the way, for people that think that I'm making this up, go look it up. It's ugly as sin. It's the one with the
That's my favorite.
It's the one with the big square in the middle. It's so ugly. And people have spent all the time in the world going, well, it's to help with wind resistance. And I'm like, no. Jorg lived out in the middle of nowhere and didn't know how to sew, and Jorg needed a gosh darn shirt. So Jorg made a shirt out of what he had. And that's the fun thing about our hobby is we can't really check our work. So if somebody's telling you you're doing it wrong, I mean, there are things that we all agree is inherently correct, but
like maybe no zippers.
Yeah, like I would suggest not putting Velcro on the back of your Leo, but
Period.
You did that seam in the wrong spot. They weren't going to Joann's and buying a McCall's pattern. So yes, as you get later and later and later, clothing gets very distinct patterning requirements. But in early period, we were very spread out. We were all kind of working with what we had, and we had a loom like this wide. So we're
gonna make it out
of this is our widest piece, and everything else we're gonna patchwork together and make Frankendress, and it's gonna work. We think. Well, so yes, a very long story. This would work for your Middle Eastern clothing.
Perfect. Well, I have fabric on the way. From
you ordered more fabric?
Maybe.
You have so much fabric. You have bought me fabric. I have fabric that I haven't even used that you got me, and you got fabric at the same time. So,
well, I got some Carolina Calico's linen by way of D-Stash Central, and gonna use it to cut this out.
You should use a fabric you're not super attached to first.
You mean like the I have some like $1 a yard from Joann's red tag fabric that's got bumblebees on it. How about that?
Sure. Well, I know that you took a flying chance when we originally did this and it worked out well, but the truth is, if this is the first pattern for somebody, you should do a mock-up and make sure that it fits the way it does.
So I should make it out of something ugly like a bed sheet.
I make my mock-ups out of the ugliest Goodwill fabric I can find. Rothgar has a blue with white polka dots shower curtain material shirt that I made to fit him, and a pair of tangerine sateen roost pants.
Wow. Okay, so
he won't wear them. I'm very upset.
Certainly there must be some sort of themed party sometime that
I just get everybody I've made a mock-up for together so they can all wear it together and wear.
Well, I'm thinking of like, what would tangerine sateen and blue polka dots? It was like
Montezuma's Revenge, the party from our first episode.
It could be it. Or dress like your favorite sports team.
Oh, maybe.
Isn't there one that's orange and blue?
Orange, I guess.
There's an orange and blue one.
Anyway, we're talking, and it's not about.
Sorry.
So
okay.
We'll cut that out too, maybe.
I have a pattern.
Let me see. You do have a pattern, and I'm willing to bet that that's going to fit. But for the people following along at home, I definitely suggest you do a mock-up, because then you can put this on, see how you like it, see if you want to move anything around. If you put this on and you're like, it fits kind of weird right here, get a hold of me. Send me a picture. We can talk about it. Text me. I might answer. I probably won't, because I almost never look at my Facebook Messenger, but send me a note. I'll have my blog, like I said in the beginning, I'll have my blog up and have the pattern available as soon as I can. I am not especially computer literate, but hopefully that will help. If you have questions after you put your mock-up together, get them to me. We can go over it. We could FaceTime, all sorts of things. So anyway, thanks for watching How to Pattern Your Dress episode 1.5, and we'll do cutting out as soon as the inclination fairy hits me and I get going. Bye.